You could give me
Whew, we made it.
Finally, just in time to tell them about you-know-what.
Whoa, before we go any further, first we should tell them about the secret of our success as exploratory ambassadors for Christ.
You mean...
That's right. The 6 tools of destiny. Bum, bum, bum.
The first tool of destiny that you will need to begin your communication journey is a torch of purpose. When preparing a message, you have to have a purpose. A purpose is why you want people to hear what you have to say and why it's important to you. Without using this tool, all the other tools are unable to reach their full potential. When I first joined the Institute for Cultural Communicators, or ICC, I decided I wanted to finish 2 of the 3 Young Speaker Guild phases in 1 year to equip myself with the tools necessary to become a better communicator for Christ. With this resolve, I quickly wrote my introduction speech, discussing my 5 siblings, my various hobbies, and my enthusiasm for skydiving.
Of all the tools and skills you will acquire throughout your ICC journey, none are as important as the torch of purpose. This is why, as part of your first phase 1 speech, called an informative, this 2 to 3 minute speech will let you practice telling the audience a little bit about yourself. To this day, I still remember talking about how I'm a 5th generational farmer, as well as an active member of my Boy Scout troop.
Once you have a purpose, you'll need to prepare your message. Having a bottle of preparation enables you to ready your message for the community. The world wants to hear your message, but if you don't prepare it in a way that they can connect with, you won't be properly understood. The second phase 1 speech is a Bible speech, in which I shared my favorite Bible verse. The verse I chose was Hebrews 13, verse 5b in the English Standard Version, which states, "For he has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you." I used this verse to explain to my audiences that even if they were falling through the sky, undertaking the thrilling art of skydiving, God would still be there with them.
One thing you must always remember in life is to place your trust wholly in God. For my Bible verse speech, I focused on 2 Peter chapter 1, verses 5 through 8, from the New American Bible, which states, "For this very reason, make every effort to supplement your faith with virtue, virtue with knowledge, knowledge with self-control, self-control with endurance, endurance with devotion, devotion with mutual affection, mutual affection with love. For if these are yours, you will be neither idle nor unfruitful in the knowledge of our Lord Jesus Christ." I use this verse to show how we are constantly trying to be with Christ in heaven, but especially how we always must strive to be better than we currently are in order to receive the ultimate reward. The third tool of destiny which you must acquire is the rope of presentation. Even if you have a purpose which is crystal clear and prepared to overcome any obstacle in your path, if you are unable to master the rope of presentation, your message stays hidden, never to see the light of day. In this speech, you give a story that will cause the audience to laugh and join you with delight. The story that I gave is The Pudding Like the Night on the Sea by Ann Cameron. This 5-minute speech forced me to face my fears and discover the lost tool of presentation.
When using the rope of presentation, it seems difficult at first, but with practice, one realizes it is much easier than it first appears. When you reach this tool, you are finally ready to share your message with your community. In the final speech of Phase 3, a literary interpretation, I got plenty of chances to practice using this tool. I chose a poem called "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" by Clement Clark Moore. Even though I had never heard the poem before, memorizing and then presenting it helped me become a better speaker. The next tool you must use is...
Hold on. We've just given them a whole lot of information. Let's take a step back and review these tools we've learned about so far.
Right, we wouldn't want you guys getting overwhelmed already.
The first tool that you mastered is the torch of purpose. By claiming this tool as your own, you set for yourself a goal, which will allow you to overcome any obstacle in your path.
Next, now that you have a purpose, you'll need a bottle of preparation. And just to be clear, while these two things, preparation... you'll want to be prepared to discuss your purpose at any time. And just to be clear, while they do have come in similar packaging, preparation and procrastination are indeed two different things. Preparation allows you to practice telling your purpose to people. Well, procrastination doesn't. I can't tell you how many times I've accidentally mixed these two things up, but eventually it gets fixed with a little bit of motivation. And finally, you have the rope presentation. Without using this tool, you'll be unable to reach your goal of sharing your message with the world.
Now that you've learned about the first three tools, I can let you in on a little secret. These first three tools make up a special formula called the first three tools of death. Together with the companions, the three tools of Tiny, they form the legend of the Triforce. This legend states that when all six tools of destiny are combined, the secret artifacts of the Triforce shall be revealed.
Once you have collected a set of desk tools, it is time to find the next equipment. These specialized tiny tools are the next step in heading off on your adventure.
By now, you will have advanced in your ICC training, so it will be less like and more like this, where you're able to clearly state your purpose and skill to the audience.
The fourth required tool is a chest of reading. You have prepared and presented your purpose, and now it is time to examine your progress. See what has been done well and what might need to be improved for next time. In the first speech of Phase 2, and informative with visual aids, I got plenty of chances to practice using this tool as I competed in a tournament for the first time.
I use my chest of reading in order to strengthen my speech about the March for Life, which is held each year in DC. This is a march where hundreds of thousands of people gather together in order to peacefully protest the legalization of abortion. The final speech in Phase 2 gave us not one, but two tools: the map of Respond and the chisel of Record. Together with these in your tool belt, nothing will stop you from discovering the lost treasures of the Triforce. This speech is called an interpretive, or dual interpretive. It is where you once again bring a story to life through dramatization. My dual partner and I, Charlotte McGinnis, were given the amazing opportunity to compete with our dual interpretive at ICON 2015. Here's a small excerpt taken from it, after Father has made a pudding for Mother.
Perfect. Now, I'm going to take a nap. If something important happens, bother me. If nothing important happens, don't bother me. And the pudding is for your mother. Leave the pudding alone.
He went into the living room and was asleep in a minute, sitting straight up in his chair. Huey and I started the pudding.
Oh, it's a wonderful pudding.
With waves on the top like an ocean.
I wonder how it tastes.
Leave the pudding alone.
But if I just put my finger in there, I'll know how it tastes.
You did it! How does it taste?
It tastes like a whole raft of lemons. It tastes like a night on the sea.
You made a hole in the pudding. But since you had some, I'll have some too. And it tasted like a whole raft of lemons. It tasted like floating at sea.
It's such a big pudding, it can't hurt to have a little more.
Since you had more, I'll have more.
That was a bigger lick than I took. And look at the pudding you spilled on the floor.
I'll clean it up and got a rag from the sink.
That's not really clean.
It's the best I can do.
Look at the pudding.
It looked like craters on the moon. We have to smooth this over, make it look like the way it did before. Let's get spoons. We evened off the top. And as we evened it, we ate some more. There isn't much left.
We were supposed to leave the pudding alone. We better get away from here. Respond and Record are the last two tools you'll need to complete the preparation for your journey. The map of Respond allows you to say thank you and prepare and appreciate everyone who has helped you this far in your journey, while the chisel of Record helps you write down everything you've experienced so you never forget. When I presented my fifth speech, a literary interpretation of Everette Gazelle's Who's on First, I mastered these tools and added them to my growing collection. Unfortunately, since this was a literary interpretation, I was unable to add skydiving into my speech. Here's an excerpt of the speech. It was originally done with my brother Micah, but my guild partner, David, Dumbledore, Drake, Daniels, Derek, Dante, Diego, Dexter, the eighth, will be filling in for him today. Well, Costello, I'm going to New York with you. You know the Yankees manager, Bucky Harris? Well, he gave me a job as coach for as long as you're on the team.
Well, look, Abbott, if you're a coach, you must know all the players' names.
I certainly do.
Well, since I'm new on the team, you're going to have to tell me their names. That way I'll know who's playing.
Oh, well, I'll tell you their names, but you know, it seems to me they give ball players these days very peculiar names.
You mean funny names?
Strange names, pet names, like Dizzy Dean,
His brother Daffy.
Daffy Dean,
The French cousin.
French,
Goofy.
Goofy Dean, yes. Well, let's see, we have here on the bags, who's on first, what's on second, and I don't know who's on third.
That's what I want to find out.
I say who's on first, what's on second, I don't know who's on third.
Look, you're the manager, right?
Yes,
And you gotta be the coach too?
yes,
And you don't know the fellows' names.
well, I should.
Well, then who's on first?
Yes,
I need the fellow's name.
who?
The guy on first.
Who?
First baseman.
Who?
The guy playing.
Who is on first?
I'm asking you who's on first.
That's the man's name.
That's whose name?
Yes,
Go ahead and tell me.
that's it.
That's who.
Yes,
Look, you got a first baseman.
certainly.
Who's playing first?
That's right.
And you pay the first baseman every month. Who gets the money?
Every dollar of it.
All I want to know is the fellow's name on first.
Who?
The guy that gets.
That's it.
Who gets the money?
Every dollar. You know, sometimes his wife comes down and collects it for him. Yes. What's wrong with that?
When you sign up the guy, how does he sign his name?
Who?
The guy.
Who?
How does he sign?
That's how he signs it.
Who?
Yes.
All I want to know is who's on first base. Is what's the guy's name on first base?
No. What's on second base?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
One base at a
I
time.
don't change the players
I ain't changing around nobody.
Take it easy, buddy.
All I want to know is the fellow's name is who's on first base.
That's right.
Okay.
All right. You've made it. You have all the tools required to begin your search for the lost treasures of the Triforce.
Do.
What are these lost treasures, you may be wondering? The first is a golden ring of competence. The second, a bronze chalice of character. And the third, a silver scepter of communication. With the right motivation, some determination, and a whole lot of post-it notes, you can make it to discover these lost treasures.
The first treasure you must find is the golden ring of competence. You show that you have mastered these skills and proved yourself worthy of this golden ring by sharing your personal testimony on how God has acted in your life. In my testimony, I shared on how sometimes we question God's decision to add hardship into our lives, but how we should ultimately be focusing on the blessings He gives us instead. In this speech, I gave examples of children that I had met in the hospital who were able to focus on God's blessings, even with the trials that they were going through.
I found competence in my own personal testimony while discussing my life as an optimist. The idea I based my testimony on was that you don't have to be an abnormal person to be an example or inspire someone. Although I knew this was the message I wanted to share, it took me a few months to put it into the right words. When I finally presented the finished copy, I saw it was worth all the time spent putting it together, plus I managed to mention skydiving. The next treasure is the bronze chalice of character. This treasure helps you become a communicator with Christ's character to love others on and off the platform. I used character in my 8th speech, which was a current event speech. This speech aims for the discussion of two sides of a current debate or problem as either an informative or persuasive speech. I chose to discuss the pros and cons of public school and homeschool as an informative speech. And even though this has nothing to do with either of these things, I got in a line about skydiving once again.
In this next category, I chose to give a CAP, or computer-assisted presentation. By choosing a topic that I felt passionate about, I was able to prove that I was worthy of the bronze chalice of character. In speaking about a new form of chemotherapy called targeted therapy, and through the use of quotes and studies, I was able to inform my audience on this amazing new form of treatment. The final speech in our ICC journey that you must complete before getting the silver scepter of communication is called a wisdom speech. This is where you ask 3 adults what type of speech you should give in order to have the greatest impact. The speech that I gave was called a cultural storytelling, which is similar to an interpretation. However, it revolves around another culture. The culture that I chose was from Les Miserables by Victor Hugo, from a chapter called The Bishop's Candlesticks. By delivering this final presentation, I was able to take my place among my peers, celebrating the completion of a 3rd and final phase.
When I asked my 3 chosen people what speech I should write, they all said I should write an informative. Since this was around Thanksgiving, I chose thankfulness as my topic and discovered the final lost treasure as I presented to my audiences. I was now ready to undertake the final section in my ICC journey.
So now we are here,
We've collected the torch of purpose,
a bottle of preparation,
the rope of presentation,
a chest of rate,
a map of respond.
and a chisel of record,
We've used these treasures to find the golden ring of competence
the bronze chalice of character.
and the silver scepter of communication.
So now the only question is to share our experience as ambassadors for Christ.
We must always remember 1 Corinthians 5, verse 20, which says, "We are therefore Christ's ambassadors, as though God were making his appeal through us. We implore you on Christ's behalf, be reconciled to God."
So now we ask you,
In this adventure of life,
where will you go?
So, that was an incredible journey that they just took us on, or an adventure that they took us on through their speech journey, which some of their speech journey, David's being a little bit longer. He started in 2014 as the inaugural class of R.I. Hope was just coming underway. And then Rachel, who just came in to the program 20 months ago. So we've got David, who's in it for the long haul, and then we've got Rachel, who sprinted through this adventure. But together, they teamed up and they put together this awesome presentation that I hope we got a good recording of it because it was just really well done. Good job, you guys. Looking around at the audience, I think you all know that I'm Cindy Clarkin, and Jan Holmgren helped me start R.I. Hope back in 2013. And we started with 9 high school students, and we've actually touched the lives of about over 100 students at this time. And what we seek to do is raise up ambassadors for Christ. And their job tonight is to take you through their journey and challenge you to be an ambassador for Christ, right where you are. And so I think they've done a good job of that. And at this point in the program, we want to have the parents come up, and we're going to give them the certificates, and we're going to pin them. So probably the order should be that I give them the certificates, and then you pin them. And we need a photographer, which I think Andrew's on for that. And then I think they might have another slide that says we're going to have, so Andrew's the slide man, and he's going to be the sub-in photographer. So I'm giving you a little roadmap here. Let's get the pins, so you can unwrap it and be ready. And now that Andrew's ready, we'll have the kids come on up. Woo-hoo! Now we come to the part of the program where I figure out whose induction certificate I hold. Okay, so the induction certificate says, the Institute for Cultural Communicators Young Speakers Guild Induction Certificate certifies that David J. Stamp has completed the Young Speakers Guild training training series demonstrating excellence in communication and leadership, influencing the community with competence and character, and is hereby inducted on this 8th day of June in the year 2019. And then it has a scripture verse from 1 Timothy 4:12. Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in faith, in love, in faith, and in purity. So, David, congratulations. And this induction certificate says the same thing, only it's for Rachel Everette, so congratulations. Now we'll have the parents come up and pin them. Mom does the pinning, but Dad comes up too. And then this is where we need Andrew to come over and capture the pinning, so don't do it too fast, because. We did this last time we did this. It was too fast, so.
All right.
Why don't we just do David first, and then. I can't resist having a camera in my hand. All right.